This week we have the unique and wonderful opportunity to sit down with somebody very near and dear to me, my grandfather, also affectionately known as Bepaw to me, Al Richardson, a professional artist, and he has been painting cars for a while.
A year or two.
A year or two, yeah.
Yeah, plus.
Longer than I've been around.
Yes.
So we're going to sit down and just discuss cars, discuss the art world a little bit, and kind of dig into some of your history a little bit. So,
Okay.
How did you get started in the painting, and in particular in the scene painting with cars and things like that?
Well, I was always interested in cars, and my dad was a mechanic, had a garage in his backyard, and I grew up underneath them too, and I always had an interest in it. And then when I got older, I realized I was able to paint and draw and create things. And
Yeah.
so naturally I drew cars and airplanes and big boys' toys, motorcycles, stuff like
yeah.
that, in high school and all. And in high school, we went to drag races a lot and built some cars, and that was back when drag racing was just getting started good. So
Yeah.
anyway, I naturally started, when I started painting, I putting them in my scenes then, and with the old stores and grocery stores and stations and stuff back in the 50s, and actually a lot of the old stores back in the 20s and 30s that I used is in my scenes. But I always had an affection for the old cars and the 50s models and 30s, 40s, and 50s. And so I just naturally, I guess, adapted them to my scenes. When I saw an old station or store or something, I'd put an old car in front of it and draw it. And I just loved the lines of the old Model A's. They're kind of square.
Yeah.
And compared to today's, they're nothing streamlined about them, but they were unique to me anyway. I enjoyed the looks of them.
Yeah, that's cool. I've been around it my whole life, of course, spending summers up here and watching you paint in the evenings, and and you even encouraged us, the grandkids, as we were running around to pick up a paintbrush. And there's a few of us that were a little better at it than others. I'll say that.
Yeah, one of y'all went on and got you an art degree. And,
Yeah.
And so, but the rest of you, they always tried it, and they did something for me. They'd do a car or something. And I do pen and ink drawings of cars and stuff, and I just print them off black and white, and then the grandkids could color them up to whatever they wanted to. So
Yeah. It was always fun, and I'm sure there's still some floating around here.
Yes.
Hidden away in different places.
Oh yeah, they got them filed away probably somewhere. So.
Yeah. One of the cool projects that I actually have on the wall in my house, and you've done this for all the kids and grandkids, is paint them a scene when they get married as the wedding gift. And I've got one of those on the wall in our kitchen, in our living room. In our dining room. We got it hung up there, and it's got a Volkswagen in it, and just a beautiful West Texas kind of a feel to it. Love that painting, and we've got several others around the house too.
I tried to adapt it to your interest. I mean, you were way into Volkswagens all your life.
Oh yeah,
and so I had to do your Volkswagen scene.
That's it.
So, yeah.
I love it for sure. So, step into the car realm a little bit. Do you have any notable vehicles from your growing up or from your history that would be interesting? I know one in particular spent some time here, the F-100. I remember riding around in it a little bit.
Yeah, it's an F1.
F1, excuse me.
It was a 1950 Ford pickup. So
yeah,
it was my uncle's, and he gave it to me several years before the time y'all were up here. And so the only thing I did to it had the old 6-cylinder engine in it, which is kind of rare for the pickups. Most of them were V8s at that point, but flathead V8s. But this was a flathead 6, and it we'd put a 12-volt system on it, so
Okay.
it was easier to crank and run.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it was good. And yeah, we went to the creek a lot with it and hauled gravel and rocks and everything else in it back up to the house and stuff. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
In the old pickup. My uncle had hand painted it with green paint. Terrible stuff. Terrible. It was peeling off.
It was house paint, wasn't it? It ended up being.
No, he actually got
It was automotive paint.
It was actually supposed to be the color and it was the color of the original pickup.
Okay.
But he just took a brush and painted it. The pickup had owned. I've known the pickup since the 1950 when it was brand new, because my neighbor had across the street had bought it, and he would go around the neighborhood peddling produce and stuff, and so
Okay.
It was a big deal when he got that 1950 pickup. Man, all the neighbors went over. 'Cause that's back when something new was very rare.
Yeah.
Because we were very poor and people just didn't have new things, and so it was quite an occasion. Anyway, he had it for several years, and then my uncle, and then he gave it to me. So
Very cool.
And I passed it on to one of my sons. So
Yeah. It's actually hanging out in East Texas at the moment.
yeah, it's down in East Texas. It may be a rat rod type of thing. Time he gets through with it, I don't know. So
Yeah, I hear an S10 chassis is in the mix at this point. So
yeah, it's going to lose some of its originality, but the body's going to stay the same. So.
yeah, awesome. This should be a fun one to. It'll be fun to have that one back on the road and running again too.
Yeah, but I tell you, the ones that I really missed was my '57 Chevy convertible.
Oh.
And my '50 Mercury.
Oh.
Two-door sedan. Oh man, I for years after I had to get rid of them or sold them, I had dreams about finding them things. I actually did, man. I really did. But it was a bronze Sierra Gold Chevy, and I had it lowered and stuff, and it was my baby.
Yeah.
And really loved it. I looked at I go to a lot of art shows and at car shows. I combine them.
Yeah.
And went to the Nationals one time in Louisville, and they had one in there as a turquoise color, '57 Chevy redone. It was all fixed up,
all dressed up.
It was like an original, brand new. But they wanted $80,000, and
goodness,
that was 20 years ago. So
oh my goodness,
I couldn't swing that. But boy, that was my dream. But I've kind of gotten over it, I guess. That's just the thing you have to remember. But I remember just driving along with that convertible is neat. The only bad thing is you didn't keep the top down in the summertime and let it sit out in the sun, then go out there and get in it.
Oh,
and go
I
anywhere.
bet.
Oh, you just burn you up. You couldn't sit in the seat. But I enjoyed that. And the Merc, I started putting an Olds engine into it, but never did make it all the way. Had to sell it, but had Frenched headlights, and it was just a classic old '50 Merc,
That's cool.
But that's two I wish I had back for sure.
Oh, definitely.
I had an old '46 Chevy Carryall that my dad had, and it was kind of a neat truck too. But it's a little 6-cylinder. It wasn't fast or anything, but it did all right. So
very cool. And you've got kind of a unique truck at the moment. One that isn't usually decked out the way that yours is. And you'll have to remind me on the year of it.
97.
97 Dodge half-ton truck, 4-wheel drive, single cab, long bed.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful. Well, I think it's a beautiful brown color. I love the color of that truck, and it's got the camper shell on the back of it. It's spectacular half-ton truck for the era, especially, and it's got the 318 in it. Correct?
Yeah.
And so. I like that truck a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I hadn't had it too long, but it's been well taken care of, and it didn't have that many miles on it, so I was fortunate to get it. But it's a neat little truck to drive. So
very cool.
I really enjoy it too.
Very cool.
I never did. As a note of a little history, I've never finished a street rod. I've started several.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I started several. Me and my buddy back in high school, we had them, and he actually got his running a little 34 Ford and going. But I had Model A's. I was working on sedans. I always liked the Model A sedans. I had a 30 model, and I was going to redo it, but I never did get that far along with it. So,
Yeah.
you kind of get married, and you kind of get obligations, and you kind of get where you can't do
yeah.
it, and especially on just a little salary.
Oh, yeah.
I was working for Texaco as a draftsman, but that didn't pay that much back then. Is adequate for making a living, but that's about it. So.
Yeah. So, at what point did you make the transition then from Texaco, kind of the day job, into full-time artwork and traveling around to car shows and things like that?
We was living in Houston. Well, I lived in Bel Air, which is a little town in Houston, and I was working for Texaco, and I'd been painting part-time just on my own, just piddling for years. But one of the co-workers I worked with was an art. She was a professional artist too. She was great, and she had gone to universities in Chicago and stuff and gotten her degree. And so she kind of took me under her wing and showed me some things and taught me some things. She could see I had a natural ability to do it, and so she got me interested. And then I started doing it, and for a few years before I decided to kind of leave Texaco. But I'd started doing art shows and getting out with my work and making a little money, but actually not selling much, but I thought I was anyway. So anyway, that encourages you when you can sell your work and people show an interest in it. You can have the inward drive to keep going, and have a goal maybe of being out on your own. So that's what I did, and finally got to a point to where we opened a gallery in Bel Air. My wife, Joanne, she worked in it, and some of the kids did. And we had that for a while. And one Christmas, right before Christmas, she called me at work. I was still at Texaco, and she called me and said, I just can't handle all this. We got too much work to do. And all. I said, okay, that's it. So I wrote my resignation out and left. Then the particular job I had at that time, you had to leave. You couldn't. It was a security type thing.
Gotcha.
You couldn't stay around for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So anyway, I left, and from that point on, I did art shows, and we had the gallery for several years, art gallery and frame shop, and I went to a lot of art shows, but then I would do car shows too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they have art booths or vendors at car shows.
Yeah.
And so I'd show my work and do that. And so that was how I kind of got into that and kept doing it and got into trucks too. I do 18-wheelers and that sort of stuff. I went to Dallas Truck Show many times, the GATS, Great American Trucking Show in Dallas, I guess, and showed my work. And so it was, that's kind of how I got into all that. So.
Yeah. And have been doing it since. So
yeah.
You mentioned before we started recording, you're not doing much on the commission side anymore,
No.
but you're still painting and still putting some things out there.
Still doing a few things. Probably not as much automobile stuff, car stuff, and trucks as I used to. But I live in Arkansas now, and it's beautiful scenery, and so I've got into doing landscapes now. So
yeah. Well, and your passion from the artwork has bled over into your passion and your ministry in Honduras and what you love to do there as the mission work and things that you do there.
Right, yeah. We've gone to Honduras for 10 years now, I think. Each year we go with a group of medical, dental people that take care of some of the needs of the people down there. And, I've done... what I went as a MacGyver. I was just supposed to do everything to keep everybody going, fix all the broken stethoscopes and all that kind of stuff. And while I was down there, it's a beautiful country. We only stayed sometimes just a week, but it's a rough, rugged country still not like our country and developed, and a lot of mountains and beautiful scenes and stuff. And so I've done paintings, a lot of paintings of that down there, and just still love it. And then the last couple of years that I was there, I stayed for about a month each time, and painted some murals on. I made a mural on the compound, the mission compound wall.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, that was interesting. I put a bus in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
A bus and they have little pickups, little Toyota pickups, and I put that in too, because we go out to the mountains, the remote villages, and take our supplies and give to the people, and give medical attention to the people, and the ministry too of the Bible. That's a heartfelt mission, and it's so rewarding, because when we first went, we didn't know what to expect, but we saw what the poverty was there, and when we came back here, we opened our door to the house and saw how much we have as a you flip a switch and the light comes on. They don't even have a switch. They don't even have a light.
Wow.
So it's very humbling, and you think you go down there to minister to them and to give them attention and uplift them, but you're really the one that gets uplifted.
Definitely. Well, I want to make sure that I've got those photos from you of that mural in Honduras, and if it's all right with you, I'm going to take some stills here in the studio where we're hanging out today.
Sure.
Of some of the artwork around. We'll make sure we got that up when we go live with this episode.
Okay.
If you want to find Bepaw, Al Richardson, he does have a Facebook page. He's got a few of his artwork on there. Again, not doing much on commission anymore, but if there's some artwork and things that you're interested in, I'm sure he'd be willing to turn loose of it for a price.
Yeah.
So
we can talk.
Thank you very much for being on and sitting down with me for a little bit, and thanks for opening up your studio too for us to be able to do this with.
No problem. Glad to. All right. Thanks.